All right, so now let's move on. We have some polls here which are just absolutely mind-boggling, and I'm curious your guys' thoughts on it. So I'll start with this Quinnipiac one. Which would you prefer for most undocumented immigrants in America? Okay. Only 34% say deportation, which, by the way, happens to mirror roughly what Trump's approval rating is, right? But that means 59% say we want a pathway to citizenship. So that's a huge, huge change. And as you're going to see here as we go through these numbers, a lot of these things are big changes. So there's a new PBS NPR Marist poll. 65% say ICE has gone too far. 65%. That's the highest that we've seen on record. The highest previously was like 61 or 62%. Okay? So that, again, huge shift there. Again, to go back to the Quinnipiac poll here for a second, Americans say the killing of Alex Preddy was not justified by 40 points. Only 22% say it was justified, which, by the way, those motherfuckers are unsalvageable. The fact that anybody can look at that is insane.
But that 22%, that means there's some number of Republicans who are like, yeah, no.
Correct. And by the way, 63% in this poll disapprove of ICE, which is up from 57% in the last poll.
Wow.
60% want ICE out of Minneapolis, and 58% want Noam to be removed from office, which is awesome. And then finally, support for anti-ICE protests. And this is a point that you've made to me before, Crystal. One of the things that you dislike about the American people is that they're seemingly reflexively anti-protest.
Yes.
And I think that's true, by the way. In my personal experience, I do find most people are like protest.
They find them like annoying. And
Exactly. But guess what? Only 35% oppose the anti-ICE protests. And 65% support.
Wow.
Or 60%, excuse me, support the protest. So like across the board. Then we've seen the poll on immigration in general.
Yeah.
Where now immigration is more popular than it's maybe ever been in U.S. history.
Right.
Because people see, look, in order to do deportations, this is what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
It's going to look like this. It's going to look like jackbooted thugs going to the community, ripping families apart. And so people got a little taste of that, and they said, fuck this. But look, my take on it, I'm curious what you guys think is, I am a little bit annoyed, though. That, like, what, the fucking people holding up mass deportation signs at the RNC didn't give you a warning? Like, you had to see the horrors before, hey, this actually isn't that good. Like, Trump he used to poll best on immigration of literally all other issues. Mm-hmm. And people thought, like, oh, yeah, he's going to keep the big bad immigrants out of here. But it's like everybody sort of caved to the idea that immigrants were the problem in the first place, and they've never fucking been the problem. And that's why this is frustrating to me.
You know, even at I also think the idea that Trump had this very clear mandate on immigration has really been oversold.
Correct.
Because if you go back and look at the polls, even at the height of interest in mass deportation, if you ask people, are immigrants a net benefit to society, it still was always a very clear majority.
And the pathway to citizenship has always been relatively popular.
Yeah, so I mean the Stephen Miller position of like, we're gonna send them all back and we're gonna lock the doors and let no one come, and we're going to have mass thugs. Like, that has always been very unpopular. But, I mean, I share your irritation, obviously, of like, they were not shy about explaining what they were going to do. I mean, they talked about using the Alien Enemies Act. That was not a surprise.
Yeah, you had some conservatives who were throwing out numbers like 20 million people need to be removed from the country.
Yeah, they were, and we had the experience of his first term where you had the child separation policy and all sorts of things, and the Muslim ban and all sorts of things that were already horrifying. So I don't understand how people deluded themselves into thinking like they're only going to go after the criminal. You had immigrants with undocumented family members who were like, well, it won't be us. They're just going to go after the criminals. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you...
Go ask the Cubans about that. They all thought... They thought they were in the clear, and Trump's like, round those fuckers up too, bro. Get them out of here. The Venezuelans, same thing. Any place where it's like a left-wing government, and they come here, usually the people who come here are more right-wing.
They
thought we're safe, we're Republican.
And they usually are. They're usually protected.
Yeah.
And it's like...
You were not on the Stephen Miller team.
No, I know.
You're not a heritage American.
Right.
So, sorry. We're going to get you out of here. And, I don't know what allowed them to see the mass deportation now signs at the RNC and think this will be a reasoned and nuanced and thoughtful approach.
I got to ask both of you. Mac, I'll start with you. What are your thoughts on the Andrew Schultz about face? Because I did a segment on it. I talked about it. He was, on the Trump train, interviewed Trump, gave him a softball interview, and then now he was talking to Charlamagne the God on the Brilliant Idiots podcast, and he's like, look, I didn't know it was going to be this bad. I didn't know the Constitution would be wiped out. And I feel like they're fucking everything up. They're making everything worse. This kind of is fascism. The left was actually right. Do you look at that and go, okay, like, welcome on board? Or do you look at that and go, you dumb motherfucker, we warned you fucking thousands of times, and you fucking wanted to ride the vibes of the Trump train, and now here we are.
I think both of those things at the same time. I look at somebody like Andrew Schultz, and I personally, and maybe this is different for other people, but I'm like, this is not the guy who I'm going to get information or takes on politics. Like, that's not how I would view him as like a source of, like, he's more, I think, a source of like entertainment, and talks about a whole bunch of other issues as well. Now, he definitely did during the election help to launder Trump and to normalize Trump and the obvious brazen fascism that he was telegraphing that he was going to implement. So to some extent, it's like, it's kind of exactly what you would expect from a guy like Schultz, to sort of just put your finger in the wind and see which way it's blowing. And now I'm going to sort of back off, and oops, sorry, I didn't know that, the full-blown telegraphing of fascism meant actual jackbooted thugs in the streets, like ripping up constitutional rights and whatever. So it's like, don't have much sympathy for him.
Yeah.
But,
But Charlemagne said to him, Crystal, like, he said he was going to terminate the Constitution before you had him on the podcast and gave him a hand job.
Yeah, I mean, Charlemagne just brought up the terminate the guy. He didn't.
Oh, he didn't say the hand job
He
part.
didn't lay it
That's
all
what I said.
right out. But that was the implication. Was like, oh, you mean like when he said he's going to terminate the Constitution? Because part of what Schultz was saying is like, he's just ripping up the Constitution, and that should be the one thing where we all are like, this is what binds us together. And I mean, the way I feel with these guys is that they expect all of us to give them grace, right? And to forgive and forget and be like, we're glad that you came here now, and welcome to the team, and to your point, Mac, like, I am glad that he's here now and that he isn't still out there caping for Trump.
But is he here
But
now?
there isn't a willingness to do that step on his part of any sort of acknowledgement of the role that he did play. And in fact, what I've seen from him and from others is downplaying that role. Oh, we're just
some
comedians.
dumb podcast guys.
Yeah,
like,
we're just what you think we got Trump elected.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm not saying you're the only reason, but I actually think their role was really important.
Yeah.
I think it was significant, because while we were out there saying this is really dire, this guy is a fascist, like, remember what he did before, here's what he's saying now, here's what he's promising, they were basically mocking that.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, that's so cringe. Y'all are so ridiculous. Trump derangement syndrome. And look, here he is on our podcast. Like, we're having a cool, chummy conversation. This guy's not a fascist. We're just broing out with him. And I do think that mattered a lot. And so I think until he can fully acknowledge that and sort of, do some sort of atonement for that, and even just to take that level of accountability, I think you're still going to have people like pissed off of, okay, you want us to just accept you in now, and okay, yeah, we're glad you're here, but where is your accountability for this horror that's now being unleashed on the country and the world?
I will say, though, the other thing, too, is he says this now. But the next time Trump does something that, like, epically owns the libs or is funny or whatever, then all of a sudden his tune will change again. And this has been probably my biggest frustration with Joe Rogan and Tim Dillon and Andrew Schultz and these people is, like, they'll have their moments where they go out there and they're like, this isn't right and this goes too far and this is a problem and this and that. But fast forward a week and a half, 2 weeks or whatever, Trump does something else and it's like, yeah, he's got a point there. And so in a sense, it's like on the Trump train, off the Trump train, on the Trump train, off the Trump train, which is why I said all of these guys, even at their best, they're both sides, false equivalents, enlightened centrist factories, which I fucking hate. I despise that.
Yeah. What would you say to the critique of that argument that, like, well, if you want them to stay more aligned with, center left or left, anything left of center, then the way to do it is not to, like, piss on them, but to be like, good job, way to go.
If their politics is contingent on me being nice to them, then they're fucking useless and hopeless anyway.
Right.
That's what I would say. Because it wouldn't matter if literally every single person on the left started calling me a punk-ass bitch and the leader of the left-wing movement fucked my mom. Like, none of that would matter.
Bernie
I'd be
Sanders.
like, I still believe in Medicare for all. I still believe in free college. I still believe in ending the wars. I'm still a lefty. So, like, what am I going to do? Fucking join the right now?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, so many people look at politics in that, like, genuinely childish, high school-ass way of, like, you were mean to me on this side, so now I'm going to the other side. And it's like, grow the fuck
Yeah, but isn't that a
up.
reality, though, that they are that way?
Whose problem is that? That's not my fault. That's on them. That's not on me. Fuck you. Get it together. Be a grown-ass man. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
I agree. I agree with you, Kyle, fully. I think it's like at some level, to your point, Crystal, you have to recognize that politics is not actually a game. It's not actually like a team sports kind of thing. It has real serious consequences. And you have to treat it with that like level of seriousness. So if you're going to be like we're just shooting the shit, podcast bros or whatever, then fine, do that. But if you're going to have the former president of the United States on, if you're going to have somebody who is going to wield the ultimate power that exists in the world, you have to have some level of responsibility and responsibility to that.
And that's where I say, like, there has to be some reckoning with the role that was played. Because, they all treated that like it was really just casual and it was great for them and their prominence and they get to play insider. But then they don't want any of the responsibility on the other side. And I think that's unacceptable. I think that's unacceptable. And that's something that Joe Rogan used to understand.
Right.
Which is why for years he wouldn't interview Trump because he didn't want to have that on him. But then ultimately he decides, you know what, I actually do want to help this guy get elected. And so to not then own that you backed him, you gave him this platform, you propped him up, and you were part of this, I think that's just a deep moral failing.
Everybody would still like Rogan if he was just shooting the shit with his comedian friends and he knew his lane and he stayed in that lane. The problem is he tried to get into your lane. Where you, Crystal, you had on RFK at the moment where he was like the fucking internet's darling. And what did you do? You said, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to hold this guy accountable. I'm going to say, hey, you said this thing which was fucking stupid and wrong, and you said that thing which was fucking stupid and wrong. And in the moment, you had an internet fucking mob come after you. Oh, you fucking smearing him. You're being unkind. You're being unfair. Fucking like a month later. Everybody's like, you know what? Crystal was actually right about that shit.
They didn't really say that, but it was understood.
A lot of people did actually say that because RFK fell out of favor because he started, sucking off the genocidal Israeli regime. And everybody's like, oh, turns out he's actually a total piece of shit.
By the way,
he's also in the Epstein files, by the way. But my point is, if you're going to play the big boy game, you need to put on the big boy pants and ask the big boy questions.
Yeah.
And they don't do that.
And it's not going to be fun and chummy and broy. And if you're not down for that, that's fine. Just don't do that.
Something else. Yes.
Just don't
have on Ari Shaffir for the 7,000th time.
President of the United States on your podcast. It's okay. You don't have to say yes to that. So I don't know. We were talking about, did you see the MAGA Mom SNL skit that everyone was sharing around? It's pretty funny. I mean, it's a similar thing where it's like, this mom who's been MAGA and her kids are there and she's like, something to tell you guys. Like, I don't think President Trump is telling the truth all the time. And they're like, oh my God, Mom. She's like, are you going to let me finish? Are you going to give me some grace? And then the one that really kills me is she's like, no one could have seen this coming. And they're like, oh my God. And that's, I think, what we're all collectively living through right now.
I saw a tweet that was exactly like that earlier today where somebody was like, Donald Trump ran on draining the swamp. Like, who would have ever thought that he was part of the swamp?
Oh my God.
The funny thing is, I think everybody at this table has made that literal exact point beforehand too. Like, he is the swamp, you know?
Yes. I mean, he's a billionaire.
This billionaire, fraudster, corrupt real estate mogul.
His biggest accomplishment in his first term was like giving a giant tax break to rich people.
That's right. Yep.
Were you not alive for that? Can you not read about that? His son-in-law walked
away with $2 billion from the Saudi Arabia when he left office.
He was besties with Jeffrey Epstein for at least a decade. And we think he's going to drain the swamp.
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.